Well, here we are again in the shop once more. It's been about a week since I posted the first instalment of this video, and I've done a few bits and pieces, but I've been slightly unwell and also a little bit lazy, slightly demotivated. But it's sometimes difficult to get over those demotivations, but I need to get myself up and going. It's not going to work out if I don't actually apply myself and start putting some hours in to the process, so that's what I'm intending to do. Although having said that, I've got a few work bits and pieces that I need to get on with. The wires are almost out. I've got a few bits of wiring to take out. I did buy myself a ladder from Screwfix, which was like a platform thing, so as I could work at a height and not have to keep moving the ladder along. I had to 4 or 5 foot worth of elevation in distance so that I could move along a bit without having to keep placing the ladder every time. But unfortunately, the platform didn't go high enough. So Screwfix were very good indeed. They took the thing back without any problem at all. So I've got my big ladder that I bought for the house, and I brought that in, taking the top section off and the other two. It just gives me a bit more stability and a little bit more width to work in. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and get the wiring, or the majority of the wiring, sorted out. And I just realised that I should be doing this in panorama mode, in horizontal mode rather than vertical mode. But we'll get some of that wiring sorted out. And then the next thing I'm going to do is probably bash a hole in the floor and try and see where that spray of water is coming from. Not looking forward to the results of that, but it's got to be seen too, the same as everything else. So bear with me. All right. One of the other problems I've got here is deciding what to do with the sprinkler system. You saw me showing you the other end, that thing I think may be a heater. I tried to post something on Facebook in order to find out if that really was a heater, but my post got declined, I think, by the plumbing group that I joined in order to try and get myself an answer from that. So behind me you can see that, which is not behind me, it's in front of me, and that is the sprinkler pipe. It's going through the ceiling, if you look at it, and it comes out under here. So there you've got a couple of bits of, you've got to see the lights there, but there's there we go, there's one of the sprinkler heads. So that comes through from that head down there. Now this is supported obviously on those cross beams there. At the other end of the shop it's supported by drops from the ceiling. So I think I'm going to, if I'm going to take this top bit out, which I probably am, then the drops in the ceiling have got to be made and hammered into this wood, the old tongue and groove there. The tongue and groove seems to be supporting at the other end, so I assume it's going to be good enough to support it at this end. So that's the only thing that's going to enable me to take out this big panel at the top here and get back to the original front of the shop. The more I think about it, the more I'm thinking about external shutters being a much easier operation. They do go quite wide, so I could probably do the whole thing with 2 shutters, and they would meet on one of the vertical stone uprisings. I'll show you in a minute. With 2 shutters, one of which goes across one half of the shop, one of which goes across the other half of the shop, and that would be quite convenient because the point at which they join is the point at which I want to partition the shop and have the kind of open side where the front door is. So, anyhow, I'll show you that in a minute. Well, as you remember, I was talking about the wire, the blue wire and the red wires that are attached to the sprinkler system, and I've just been tracing the other wire as it comes along to the junction point in front of the corner of the building where it drops down into what was the consumer unit. Well, the consumer unit's still there, but everything's disconnected from it. And we have this, and this wire here, that's the one that comes out of that's the one that travels all the way along the shop right round to the other end to that red wire that looks like a heater. And as you can see, if you look round there, the blue wire that looks like a heater is going up here and into the insulation wrapping, and that comes down underneath the stairs to hopefully isolate it. Now this looks to me like a thermostatic control unit here. Upstairs we've got an isolating switch here. This is not ceramic, it's plastic. It looks ceramic, but it's plastic. Got a switch in there, and I'll bet you that is a thermostat. And what happens is when the thermostat gets below a certain temperature, ping, on goes the heater, and it prevents the pipes from freezing up. Now I'm reasonably sure, looking at that, where that wire comes out of, that is going into the corner there. All those wires in the corner are going down behind the consumer unit, and those are the ones that I would have all disconnected. So I'm assuming that when I get to the end of those, I'm going to do it from here upwards, that they're all going to come out. We're going to find that I've already disconnected the mains from here when I've disconnected the rest of it from the consumer unit. So the protection is currently off at the moment. Obviously what that means is I can take that big long wire out that extends all the way down to the other end of the shop, and I just need to make sure that I remember to connect the heating side of things back up again so as we don't freeze the pipes. This red wire, I have to be very, very careful with this. This red wire is actually the fire alarm wire, and it's daisy chained along. There's an alarm action point which is just inside the shop, so I need to be very careful I don't pull this, tug this or chop this by mistake. Otherwise those fire engines will be screaming their way down Morecambe Front, coming along to a fire at the Alhambra, which isn't actually on fire at all. So, we'll see. Right, so I'm going to carry on trying to dismantle these bits and pieces of wiring. Nothing too exciting going on here. Some of this stuff I did before. If I look through the other side, that area down there is where the sink was, and I've already taken the wires out of here, chopped them off at the end, and so if I pull this, like the other one, should come out. No, it feels like there's actually still one of those cable clips on the bottom, so I'm going to be taking all these cable clips off and getting a shot of them. not easy to see, but all those wires, they come up from the top there, come down to this little bit of trunking that you can see, and this bit of exposed trunking that I opened up when I first did the consumer unit. So hopefully, once I get those loose tails up there, they'll all come down and I'll be able to yank them out from behind the consumer unit. I hope I don't have to take the top off again, but if I do, that's what you've got to do. And there was me thinking that taking that cover off was going to expose the inside and let me pull all the wires out of the box. Let me just flip you around. And I still can't see. Right behind where that, excuse me, big white not multi-core but 3-core goes, those wires, all these wires that come down and drop down here through this, they all come in the back of the electrical box. So I'm going to take the top off and see if I can extract them by pushing with a screwdriver at one end and pulling out the other end. Try not to electrocute myself, as pointed out in the previous video. Once again, do not try this at home. I remember to film myself in panorama this time. Just an update on this little beastie. You've seen what's inside there, haven't you, anyway? That thing. I've had all this apart. Well, not the whole lot apart, but I had the top off, I had the front bit off, I had the back bit off, pulled the meter, and the whole thing is very unstable in there, so I'm not going to be able to do that, or I'm not going to try it. I think it's too dangerous, and also it needs a professional to put in a proper consumer unit. So I'm going to be phoning up someone, a guy who came and did some stuff in my house earlier on, and see if he can help me out, put a consumer unit in, and I'll also tell him about my plans for the wiring of the rest of this unit, so that he can give me some advice on what he's prepared to do, if he's prepared to certify it, or if he has to do the work in order to certify it, and so on. So there's a few loose ends there. The summary of it all is I'm going to trim off all these wires here that I know are dead, and just leave the tails sticking out of the top of that corner there, and then that's it for the electrics until I can get someone to sort it out or give me a bit of a hand. So the next thing to do is going to be to get a bit of that floor up and see what the leak looks like. It's a day full of good news today. As far as that leak is concerned, there's a hole in the floor which I may be able to get some purchase on, so I'm going to poke it through. See that little hole in the floor there? I'm going to poke it through there with the light on and have another look and just see what I can see. Now I can't see what's going on there. I can hear something going on. I don't know what it is. And the joist is in the way. Don't drop your phone, mate. Right, I'll have a look at that and see if I can spot what's going on. Water comes in around the side there somewhere. And there's a spider right near my hand. Lovely. Well, there we go. You can see the red pipe there, the blue pipe rather, just in the corner. Looks like where it comes in from the road, underneath that piece of brick, there's something pissing out of it. At least it looks like that. I don't know what kind of, which direction it's all coming from. Let's see if we can get it out. A piece of cruddy board. That looks to me as though that is coming out from somewhere under this fucking, excuse me, look, it says coming somewhere under this. It's flowing in. That's where the pressure's coming in. So it's coming in from outside that area. It's coming, you can't see it from there, but that spray is coming from underneath that brick part. So that suggests to me that the problem is in a joint which is outside the premises. So we'll have a look at that. Maybe it might be something that I don't need to fix, but there you can see a little squirt of water. Probably some very exotic varieties of mushrooms underneath here as well, but probably the less said about that the better. My mate made a joke. Next door is a swimming tackle. Next door is a fishing tackle shop, and you can't park out the front of it because it says the floor is unsafe due to a subterranean passage. Well, we were thinking maybe if the leak is big enough, we might have a swimming pool underneath the shop. So that'd be quite good. Get a few lights in, a bit of heating. Could have a lot of fun with that. Right, so I'm going to have to find someone who's going to sort out that leak. I'll probably open up the hole in the pavement outside, see if I can see any evidence of squirting out there as well. It's been raining outside, so the weather's not quite as good. Normal sunny, funny Morecambe. It's become a little bit wet and overcast. You can't even see any mountains or any lake district on the other side, but never mind. Here's our thing. Right, what we've got in there. We've got a load of rubber in there, that's what we've got. It's really hard to tell. There's a tap there. There's a whole load of broken bits of tile. Oh, what's that? So see if we focus down there. It looks like broken bits of tile and various stuff, so it's hard to tell exactly where the problem's going to be. Someone's going to have to fix it, so we'll have to talk to some people. So that leaves me in a bit of a difficult position really, because I don't know what I can do with the electrics. I'm going to have to get somebody to help me with that, and the water is going to have to talk to the landlord first of all to see what he thinks, and the water board, because I don't want to be paying an enormous bill to get that leak sorted out. It's still there, not my fault. Looks like it's coming from outside the perimeter of the building from what I can see, but it's hard to tell, and they're always likely to argue. I'm just thinking that red conduit in which the blue pipe is situated is probably the water company's pipe. If that's the pipe that's coming up in the kitchen, there's no water coming out of there. So if that's a continuous pipe that's going across the floor, then that leak must be escaping from the water pressure that is before the stopcock, because the stopcock outside must be off. So, oh dear, so many things to think about. Anyhow, I haven't determined yet what I'm going to do. The only other thing that I can really is continue taking off plaster, because I think the idea is that we're going to go back to brick on this, and taking off the plaster doesn't require any skill, energy, or it doesn't require any skill or assistance at all. It just requires a bit of energy and devotion, taking a bit of time. So I'll get in touch with my man today and see if he wants to take this wood. He did mention that he might want to store this wood somewhere else because it could come in useful. And so I'll talk to him about that and a few other bits and pieces and see where we can go on. In the meantime, looks like I'm going to be spending my time hammering plaster off the wall. Some of it comes off easily, some of it's blown, and some of it is not so easy to come off. So it's going to be a long while. I'll put some music on. Actually, before I do that, I think I want to take down this. You've got a box here. The top part of that you can't really see because it's all painted black, but a lot of this is plasterboard. Plasterboard. Some of it, the top half of that black area there, you can see where the line is now, is concrete, and that is part of the stairs up to the Alhambra. So there's going to be some supporting stuff under here. The plasterboard's already had a hole knocked in it, and it looks like there's something vaguely unpleasant and a bit ugly under there. Looks like a bit of wood on top of a stone. Oh, that's wood as well. Anyhow, this is going to come down. I can't see myself wanting to save it or use it for anything, so we'll take it down and we'll make whatever's under there look pretty. Either that or also box it in with something that looks a bit nicer. So I'll take that down first of all, and then we'll think about getting that plaster off the walls. Well, I don't know if that was entirely the smartest thing to do, because obviously this was originally covered up. As you can see, lath and plaster. That'd be part of the original fabric of the building. If you don't know what lath and plaster is, if you're not English and you haven't done any work on an old house, or well, I don't know if they used it in the continent or not, but this would be a typical way of constructing a ceiling. They nailed all these thin strips of wood to the ceiling, and then with the gaps between them, and then put the plaster on a thick coat first of all, as you can see, and then a thin finishing coat on the top. The thin finishing coat is that white bit, and that was all original. These other three panels have been plasterboarded over, so someone had tried to make it all level. It was a bit of a bodge job anyway, but obviously it may not be the wisest thing taking this off, but too late. I've started now, so I've got to finish, and we'll see what that brings. I think that's going to pretty much wrap things up for today, or for this particular video. Thanks very much indeed for watching. I didn't have much of a chance to show you anything else about Morecambe because it's a bit dismal out there today. So in the future, I will get my act together, show you a bit more about what's going on. Like I say, a bit grim and grisly. So thanks very much indeed for watching. Really appreciate it. The channel was called World Peace. I'm going to get a new channel name for it because I think it needs one particularly for the Morecambe shop. So I'll do that. In fact, if you do see this and you've got any suggestions as to what this video should be, decent suggestions of course, nothing rude hopefully, then give me a shout, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks very much indeed for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell all your friends about the interesting stuff that's going on down here if you do find it interesting. If you'd just like to see a bloke making a fool of himself trying to do up an old shop, then this is an equally good destination for you. So take care until the next time. Appreciate it once again. Thanks very much.